이 말은 내가 너를 고구려 귀족들에게 팔아 넘길 수도 있다 이 말이다.
정말 팔려고요?
자식이 조용히 좀 하라니까. 허나 난 널 팔지 않을 것이다. 이제부터 넌 노예가 아니다. 내 이미 극약을 처먹고 사경을 헤매던 노예를 살려내 너의 재주를 본 적이 있다. 그 재주를 다시 보여준다면 난 널 귀족처럼 대할 것이다.
Afrika yetu inapendeza, tamaduni wetu asili unapendeza.
This week on Out and About,
mara ya kwanza, baby, they'll have to pay, they'll have to pay for the innocent blood that I'm shedding every day. Oh Lord of mercy, everybody come follow it.
catch us this Saturday at 9 p.m. only on Capital Television, your channel of choice. $33.1 trillion shillings allocated for the 2019-2020 budget approved. Kenyans and leaders dismiss alleged plot to kill the deputy president of Kenya. President Magufuli urges Tanzanians to continue to pray for Taifa Stars. Good evening, this is Capital News at 9:30. My name is Vanessa Victor. Let's get started with the national news. The Parliament has reviewed and approved the fourth budget of the fifth phase government for the 2019-2020 financial year, which is 33.1 trillion shillings, after it was debated by MPs for 7 days.
Mkataba wa Saudi Fund.
The Saudi fund contract has not been implemented due to the fact that there is a section of the contract which specified that the government must use its properties as collateral in order to receive loans. The properties to be used as collateral that were mentioned in the section of the contract are the properties of the Tanzania People's Defense Forces, the TPDF, the properties of the Bank of Tanzania, BOT, the properties of cultural heritage, the properties of historical objects, and other properties which have been identified as such in the laws of Tanzania. Mr. Speaker, it is clearly obvious that these conditions go against the laws of the country. I cannot sign such a contract on behalf of all Tanzanians. I, Philip Mpango, is now saying very clearly that my signature will not be used to sell the country.
Lakini mimi Philip Mpango kamwe sahihi yangu haitatumika kuuza nchi.
On complaints by members of Parliament on the government using funds on issues not set by the Parliament, Minister Mpango said that the Budget Law number 11 of 2015 has given authority to the minister and top officers to make amendments to the approved budget during implementation of the said budget.
Kifungu cha 28(2) cha kanuni za sheria ya budget.
I would like to say that Section 282 of the budgetary law enables the Minister for Finance to make changes to the budget which has been passed by the House and which is still being implemented, changes which do not exceed a level of not more than 9% of the whole government budget. Until April this year, the level of changes which I, as the Minister of Finance, has made in the budget is equivalent to 2.97% of the whole government budget which was approved for this financial year. Mr. Speaker, I have been accused of proudly showing off here in the House the number of firms which I have closed down. I would like to put one thing out in the open. All that I have done as the Deputy Minister for Finance and Planning is to ensure that the laws and regulations of Tanzania are followed by business enterprises in the country. And yes, I would like to admit that it is true that some business enterprises are being closed down while others are being opened. I am pleased to note that all of the recommendations that we made to the Minister of Finance during the last 7 days have been included in the budget which Minister Mpango has just presented to the House.
The President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Dr. John Pombe Magufuli, has assured Tanzanians that as power generation projects continue to be completed, this includes the River Rufiji Hydro Power Project, he will ensure that electricity prices are reduced so as to benefit all individuals, especially investors. The President said this when opening an LPG power plant by Taifa Gas in Kigamboni, Dar es Salaam region.
Napenda pia nitumie fursa hii kutoa wito kwa Watanzania.
I would like to call on Tanzanians, especially Dar es Salaam residents, where they use 40,000 sacks of charcoal per day, which is equivalent to 90% of charcoal consumption throughout the entire country, to start changing into using gas. Gas helps us to conserve environment and is affordable.
Ingia hapa nchini ni tofauti na gesi tunayozalisha hapa nchini.
It is important that people are aware of the fact that gas that is imported in the country is different from the one available in the country. The imported gas is extracted from oil raw materials, scientifically known as propane and butane, which are produced outside the country, mostly from Asian countries like Saudi Arabia, Iran, and so forth.
Matendo ya zamani ya ujanja.
Our government has showed a true dedication in fighting corruption and bureaucracy, things that have been highly affecting the business community, causing some of Tanzanian investors a run away from their own country and invest somewhere else in the world. However, due to the mega changes, some of us are intending of coming back to invest at home. Taifa Gas is one of the examples of investments that are intending to invest to other projects which will use 500 billion shillings in the coming 3 years. Following your decision, Honorable President, it will increase employment opportunities to thousands of Tanzanians and generation of more income from collected taxes.
Uamuzi huo ambao utaongeza ajira kwa maelfu ya Watanzania na kupanua wigo wa kodi kwa serikali.
The number of deaths in the accident involving the Tanzania Rural and Urban Roads Agency, TARURA, as well as a truck in Iringa has reached 3 after one of the 3 victims hospitalized at Iringa Referral Hospital passed away earlier today.
We received 3 patients from a car accident that occurred in Migori. While at the hospital, one of them had conversion problem caused by head injuries, whom died before operated on. Cause of the accident was negligent driver of a lorry who overtaked Hilux car. After the accident occurred, the driver ran away from the scene. We shall continue searching for him as well as calling on other drivers to be careful while using roads. I was asleep when the accident occurred. When I woke up, I found myself bleeding. I thank God that I had put my belt on. If I can recall, it was only me and the driver who had our belts on. The rest of my fellow passengers didn't do that.
Tanzania Revenue Authority TRA's over 60 million shillings, including 18 tons of sugar that was imported illegally through Holili, Kamwanga and Tarakea borders in Rombo district.
We've handed over sugar that was confiscated to the regional commissioner so she can distribute to various institutions in need. This sugar was imported from Thailand, Mauritius, Brazil, Zambia and other sugar-producing countries. Other items were confiscated too, although these were not handed over to the regional commissioner. We decided in the case of sugar so it doesn't enter the market. Other items include mobile phones, handsets, cooking oil, salt, tires and other confectionery items. Those involved in importing goods without declaring tax now will see that it is no longer possible. I urge you to scale up your operation. I know ambulances have been used to smuggle such items, so we must strengthen our operations working with other law enforcement organs. The government's decision to nationalize property belonging to tax evaders is right. There is no nation that can prosper without its people paying tax. Has done his very best to make sure that people pay tax so it can be used for development. I cannot understand anyone who decides not to pay tax when even civil servants.
Students from the ICT Army College have visited ITV Radio 1, Capital TV, Capital Radio and East Africa Radio to see how the media organizations run their day-to-day activities from production to transmission of programming.
Lengo la shule lilikuwa ni kuja kutembelea ITV pamoja na
The aim of the college was to visit ITV studios and radios for the purpose of knowing how the stations operate and enable our students know how news is collected and processes involved in communicating to the mass. We are grateful for the management on giving us this opportunity.
Pamoja na kujua ni jinsi gani vyombo vyetu vya habari vinaweza kurusha matangazo yake.
The President of Zanzibar and Chairman of the Revolutionary Council, Dr. Ali Mohammed Shein, has directed the community to oversee the pillars of patriotism, as well as to ensure that the national anthem, flag, as well as logos are respected. Dr. Shein gave this challenge when speaking during the commemoration of 107 years of Scout that involved over 700 Scout leaders from 31 regions of Tanzania.
The Ministry of Education is still in charge of supervising Scout duties at our education system. The move will have huge impacts in preparing our youth in the country so that they will continue being excellent and diligent at all times for the benefit of our nation. It is then important to ensure that there are good and sustainable procedures in improving Scout. We are considering Scout as a hub of generating good leaders who will lead this country in future. Globally, our aim is to prepare youth in being patriotic, strong and courageous, who are willing to support others wherever necessary.
And residents in Momba District, Songwe Region and Nakonde in Zambia have said that Tunduma Town Council loses significant revenue due to the closing down of Tazara Road, which, if improved, could be used to collect millions of shillings in levies from over 300 people who enter and leave through the border within one day.
We should rather use the previous road. We could have contributed some income to the council. Apart from using this new road, we are paying taxes to people who don't even give us receipts. Imagine in one day, more than 300 people passes here. How much money could we have generated and benefited from? If the government could have realized that, they could have been charging us for passing by here. Then it couldn't have been the problem, because we are now paying tax in order to pass at this road. We could have been very far, because there are so many people who use bicycles in Tunduma. The road has to be opened for ourselves, and neighbors from Zambia should also be able to pass through, coming to Tunduma, because if you look at their borders are all open for us to pass. But closing the road because of combating illegal importation and exportation of goods is not right. There are things that can be done to end such acts, but not closing the road.
The police force in Dodoma has captured 4 illegal immigrants that were leaving Mwanza and heading to Mbeya region, and 2 Tanzanians involved in a network of human trafficking.
Kwenda Mbeya. Wewe unakaa wapi? Tanga. Wewe? Morogoro. Mlikutanaje wewe Morogoro na Tanga?
How come you come from different regions yet you know each other? We have received intelligence that you are used in people trafficking.
Iliza ikusaidii. Hawa wajitahidi tu wakatubu waende kanisani wakasali au msikitini. Iliza hawezi kusaidia hapa Dodoma.
What we've realized is a lot of road users don't know how to use road. They fail to stop at the zebra crossing. However, motorists are much better.
Members of Parliament of the East African Legislative Assembly, EALA, have been forced to postpone their meeting to discuss the 2019-2020 budget, which was delivered last week after ministers of member states failed to appear in Parliament.
Members of Parliament have decided to have one voice for ministers to be called at the Parliament tomorrow to discuss on the issue of budget and pass the budget as soon as after it is presented to the Parliament. The Parliament has 12 ministers, including both ministers and deputy ministers. We are calling on them to at least reach even half of their number, but today there was only one minister present. Even member countries' budgets, all ministers are available at the Parliament to defend their budget. How come today there was only one minister in the House? Honestly, there is poor representation of some of members of Parliament as well as ministers at the Parliament.
That's all for national news. International news is next. And in international news, Kenyans and various leaders in Kenya have continued to express their opinions after 4 ministers were implicated in a plot to assassinate Deputy President William Ruto, with many stating that the claims have no basis.
They mostly have a discussion on government plans concerning the regions in Mount Kenya. Claims on a plot to kill Deputy President William Ruto is senseless. Someone by the name of William Ruto, Deputy President of Kenya, is a joke. He feeds on sympathy. This is a political strategy by Ruto. He has 2 plans. One is to disrupt the government, and secondly is to cause trouble between the Kikuyu and the Kalenjin in the Rift Valley. When Deputy President has to sit with the ministers in question to discuss matters of national importance, he will be uncomfortable doing that.
Iran's president has responded with defiance to the latest sanctions imposed by the U.S., saying that they show it is lying about wanting dialogue. Here is more.
Hassan Rouhani has said the measures against Iran's supreme leader unveiled by President Donald Trump on Monday would be useless and denounced as plans to target his foreign minister. The moves showed the White House was mentally retarded, Minister Rouhani added. Mr. Trump said he was responding to recent aggressive behavior by Iran. Last week, Iranian forces shot down a U.S. surveillance drone that they said had violated Iranian airspace over the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. insisted the drone was flying over international waters. The U.S. has also accused Iran of being behind 2 sets of explosions that have damaged 6 oil tankers.
That's where we leave off with international news, but we'll be back with business news after this break.
Watch Business Edition as we talk to business leaders and experts in sectors that are transforming Tanzania's economy.
To be rich, I have to be a business person.
It's not an easy road at all.
People need to understand.
You must quickly think how cost effective are you going to be.
Business acts as a way in which it can bridge that gap.
Business Edition will keep you informed on latest developments in the financial sector, extractive industry, tourism, agriculture, energy, construction, and so much more. Meet entrepreneurs who create employment opportunities. Watch Business Edition on Friday at 8:15 p.m.
Welcome back and in business news. Cashew nut farmers in Lindi and Mtwara regions have said that extension officers' failure to reach them has led to the farmers' lack of knowledge and advice on the best way to farm the crop.
What kind of an officer remains in town? How is he going to know what challenges the farmer is facing? A label printed in Swahili must be displayed in bold print so even someone with sight impairment can see what has been printed. This type of label is more suitable for Sabasaba exhibition. Not giving the right explanation to queries is a major challenge. It is important that explanation is given well because you've been trained.
The National Economic Empowerment Council, NEC, has directed 7 regions in the country that have yet to implement the investment guidelines to do so in order to provide opportunities as well as increase the pace of investment.
Shinyanga, Rukwa, Mbeya,
Njombe and Iringa regions will prepare investment guides under our supervision for the remaining regions. They must follow guidelines given and that investment opportunities are made available to the people.
Mingine iliyobaki 18 ni kuhakikisha sasa ile miongozo yao ya uwekezaji.
Coffee farmers in Iringa district, Arusha region, have begun to reproduce coffee after the district government set a procedure to provide them with the seeds without payment to get inputs on time, as well as to ensure a market for their coffee.
Miti ambayo haipati kutu wala CBD na ina mzizi mkuu.
That's all for business news. Sports is next.
Away first time, good start from Bolt. Bolt leading a moment and going away. Gay trying to go with him and he's being dragged through the second place, but he's going to win it by 2 meters. Away first time, good start from Bolt. Bolt leading a moment and going away. Gay trying to go with him and he's being dragged through the second place, but he's going to win it by 2 meters. Mourinho. He did lose to Len.
And in sports. The President, Dr. John Pombe Magufuli, has urged Tanzanians to continue praying for the national team Taifa Stars as it still has games to play in the Africa Cup of Nations.
Wachezaji wasikate tamaa.
Players not to lose hope. In football, there is winning and losing. So they should strive. They should work harder. And we should keep praying for them. Because their losing is our losing as Tanzanians.
Kwa sababu kushindwa kwao ni kushindwa kwetu sisi wa Tanzania.
The national team Taifa Stars coach Emmanuel Amnike has said some of his players had minor injuries, but they might be fit and ready for the game against Kenya, insisting that we want to win against Kenya and in other games, just like every other team in the competition.
As I played against Senegal, some of them have some knocks, which is normal. Hopefully they will be better before our next game against Kenya and we'll be in a position to compete against Kenya. We want to win. Nobody comes here to lose. And I can guarantee you no team that came to this AFCON want to lose. But of course, in a game of football, either you lose or you draw or you win. So it's three ways option. But the important is to remain calm. This AFCON, right from day one, I have said a lot of things. It's going to be a very tough AFCON. And we have all seen most of the games played. No game is easy. Nobody is going to dash you anything. So hopefully on Thursday, we can be able to be at the best, to achieve our objective.
While still in Egypt, Sadio Mane would be prepared to swap his Champions League success with Liverpool for an Africa Cup of Nations medal with Senegal, he said as he readied for his first game at the tournament in Egypt. Here's more.
To win for my country, which has never won a Cup of Nations, will be magnificent. I'm very ready to trade in my Champions League success to win the Africa Cup of Nations, Mane told France Football in an interview published on Tuesday. Mane, who helped Liverpool beat Tottenham Hotspur on June 1st in the Champions League final in Madrid, missed Senegal's opening game at this year's Cup of Nations as he was suspended because of an accumulation of cautions in the qualifiers. Senegal beat Tanzania 2-0 in Cairo on Sunday to make a winning start to their Group C campaign. They next take on Algeria on Thursday, when Mane is expected to return to the team.
Frank Lampard's widely anticipated move to Chelsea has edged towards its completion after Derby granted him permission to open talks with the London club regarding their managerial vacancy.
They made a statement to confirm the development, and they added that with pre-season fast approaching for both clubs, it is hoped this will allow Chelsea to swiftly conclude their discussions. That is certainly that expectations on the side of Chelsea, who have moved for Lampard, their former midfield favourite, after allowing Maurizio Sarri to join Juventus after one fateful, if ultimately successful season. Sarri returned the club to the Champions League with a third-place Premier League finish and won the Europa League.
And in the U.S., the Milwaukee Bucks fell 2 games short of the NBA Finals, but they won big at the NBA Awards. Here are more details.
Antetokounmpo earned Most Valuable Player honors, Mike Budenholzer won Coach of the Year, and John Horst took Executive of the Year on Monday night in Santa Monica. Antetokounmpo beat out Paul George of Oklahoma City and last year's MVP James Harden of Houston. He was a resounding winner. He received 941 points and 78 first-place votes in the balloting, 165 points more than Harden. Harden finished second with 776 points and 23 first-place votes. The show had a global feel with 3 international players besides Greece's Antetokounmpo winning. Antetokounmpo averaged 27.7 points and 12.5 rebounds while earning all NBA first-team honors this season, his 6th win, the Bucks.
And that sports item ends our news bulletin. My name is Vanessa Victor. Thank you for watching and have a good night.
Diamonds